This is the BG Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I am Bax.
And this is Sam.
Good Thursday morning to you, Sam. And good morning to all of you wonderful people on Periscope as well. Those of you asking, is this a radio show? Well, yes. Yes, it is.
It's
good
weird
morning.
that you get to see people on the radio.
I know. It's like kind of like a faux pas, isn't it? It's just like, what? What are you talking about? You actually can hear and see us at the same time. It's crazy, but yes, you can. That's why we do this broadcast on Periscope as well on Spreaker.com from 7 to 8 a.m. Central every Monday through Friday, and also on SportsRadioAmerica.com from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time, and on demand as well on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker.com.
Yeah, and you can find us on social media at The BG Sports Show. We are on Twitter at BG Sports Show. Baxter's at Baxter Colbert, and I am at Samuel_Wallace2, and we are on Instagram at The BG Sports Show.
Yes, indeed. Well, I want to kick off the show. Before we jump into the first topic I want to talk about, somebody asked us on Periscope right away our thoughts about Eddie Lacy, which I think would be a very good thing to jump at as a whole.
Very pertinent. Yeah.
So when you talk about Eddie Lacy, for those of you that have not heard, head coach Mike McCarthy of the Green Bay Packers has just come out saying that James Starks will be the new running back going forward for the Green Bay Packers. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, well, maybe that's a good idea. But when I really looked at it, I'm like, you need to go with the person right now that is doing the most with the time that they've got. So,
yeah, exactly.
James Starks has made the most out of every single time he's had on the field. So going forward, it's got to be him.
I think so. Like any other sport, you see coaches ride the guy with a hot hand. That's kind of like a common phrase, especially in basketball, things like that. Whoever's shooting well, whether it's your star player or a guy off the bench, if they're making buckets, you put him in.
Oh, absolutely.
And the thing with the Green Bay Packers is with James Starks, he has been having the hot hand per se in the NFL, at least for the Packers right now. Mm-hmm. And not that Lacy's benched, not that he won't play. McCarthy did follow up his statement and say, we're still going to go with our traditional 1-2 punch, but
it's going to be more of that James Starks is that one.
Starks is the one, and Lacy is now more of the two.
And I just wonder, too, with looking at James Starks, I know he's not old, but I know he's not young either.
Yeah.
He's at that midpoint of his career where it's like, look, I always forget that he was he was the Super Bowl running back.
Yeah, he was.
Along with Brandon Jackson. I forget.
Brandon Jackson. Yeah.
I know. I forget that he was on the Packers 5 years ago. So he's been one of the longer tenured players just for Green Bay.
Very consistent, very dependable in his reserve role. So it'll be interesting to see now. This will be his first true first-string action that he's seen really since the Super Bowl.
Because he's started in other roles, but because of injuries.
Yeah.
And now this is you.
Now it's like he's earned his spot.
James Starks, you are the starter going forward. Take it and run.
Yep.
So I'm curious to know how it goes. Do you think it's going to be a good move? Do you think it's going to be a bad move?
I think it'll be a good move long-term. I think Lacy just needs a reality check. And not that it's entirely his fault. I think he's just got too much going on in his head right now. Mm-hmm. And I've heard people say he's running scared. He's not attacking the gaps like he should be. He's put on a little bit of weight.
That is true. I feel like he's put on more than just a little bit of weight personally. But maybe that's just the bad camera angles.
Exactly.
Doesn't the camera add 20 pounds?
I think so.
Something like that.
But anyways, I think it'll be good for him to take some time, sit on the bench, watch the game a little bit more instead of having to be the every down back.
Exactly.
Just to get his confidence back.
Yep. No, I completely agree with you on that one. And speaking of confidence, Sam, flipping over from not only just the Green Bay Packers and Eddie Lacy, but this is something that I always enjoy doing, especially at this point in the season when you can really take a good look at everything. Mm-hmm. And it's the topic of if the playoffs started today.
If they did.
If they did. Not they are. If they did.
Thank goodness they're not starting
who would
today.
be in and how would they transpire? So looking at the current seedings in the NFC, Carolina would be the first seed, Green Bay the second, Arizona the third, the Giants the fourth, the Vikings the fifth, and the Falcons the sixth.
Correct.
So by looking at that, looking just at the NFC for a second, look at those opening games. Cardinals, Falcons, Giants, Vikings. Who wins those games?
I have the Cardinals over Atlanta. Atlanta has not looked great right now, and Atlanta would have to go to Arizona to play, and then I'm going to take the Vikings over the Giants on the road.
Ooh, interesting. Those are actually both the same picks that I would. Have part of me wants to say, well, the Giants have always been good in the playoffs.
They have.
So part of me thinks, well, maybe Eli Manning would be like,
for as bad as Dallas has been in the playoffs, the Giants are extremely well in the playoffs.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Kind of like Cincinnati also. Yep. The Giants are just the polar opposite of all of those. But, however, I like what Minnesota's doing.
Absolutely.
I will ride this Minnesota bandwagon. Minnesota is my second pick in the NFC to go over Green Bay if I had to pick.
There we go.
Looking over, so then it would be Green Bay, Minnesota, and no, I'm sorry. Yes, it would. I'm sorry, yes. Carolina, Arizona, and Green Bay, Minnesota. right? Or is it
No,
the lowest seed goes?
Lowest seed goes to the top
It does.
six. Yep.
Okay, forgive me.
Carolina gets the lowest remaining seed.
That's right. So Arizona, Green Bay, Minnesota, Carolina.
Yeah.
Two very big matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would still take the Packers in their first round game because it's at home. And the Packers in the playoffs at Lambeau Field, as has been shown over the last couple seasons, it's very, very hard to beat the Packers at Lambeau in the playoffs.
Unless you're the Giants.
Or
What was it, like the 06 Falcons in the snowstorm with Michael Vick?
Yeah.
Or 05, something. I don't remember what it was.
Anyways.
But, so you have Green Bay.
I
They
have
win.
Green Bay.
They go to the NFC Championship game against Carolina.
Yep, I have them. I have Carolina beating the Vikings.
Okay.
Vikings are a good program right now, but they still need a little bit of building.
Agreed.
Yet. And Carolina has just shown to be too dominant across the board.
I'd agree with you on that one. Yeah, Carolina and Green Bay, I feel, will be the matchup that will be sending folks to a crazy hysteria as they would meet again in the NFC Championship game after just this humbling performance that the Carolina put on Green Bay just this last week in the NFL regular season. So before we get to who wins that game, let's take a look then over at the AFC. New England would be the first seed, Cincinnati the second, Denver the third, Indy the fourth, the Jets the fifth, and the Steelers the sixth. So it's Broncos, Steelers, and Colts, Jets in that wild card round. Your thoughts?
My thoughts would be with a healthy Ben Roethlisberger. I think if the playoffs were to start today, Ben would come off the bench and be like, I'm in. And I think that the Steelers will go to Denver and beat the Broncos.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think with Ben under center, Pittsburgh just has too much firepower. The Broncos defense has shown they can be beaten by kind of the banged up Colts.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah, so I have the Steelers beating the Broncos, and then I actually have the Jets beating the Colts. I'm going to go with both underdog picks in the AFC.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to have to go with Denver, honestly, beating Pittsburgh purely because of how well Denver's defense has played. And I understand that Indianapolis did a number on them the other night, but I think that was a one-time fluke.
Yep.
And I think that Denver going forward is going to prove to the rest of the NFL that they are the best team. Overall.
I think. To that point, I think you're entirely correct that Denver, their defense is without question one of the best in the NFL right now. I just wonder how far that can carry them. If Peyton Manning just continues to not produce on offense, I think Pittsburgh could slip by with like a 15-12 win.
That is true.
15-14, something very low scoring. And I just don't really see Peyton Manning. Well, he could orchestrate a late game winning drive. But at this time, I just don't think their offense right now can keep up. It could. They have a lot of talent on that team.
Oh, they've got plenty of talent, and that's the thing that scares me the most is that if Peyton Manning, when it comes to playoff time, is usually a very good player, so he could certainly do a very dangerous thing to the team.
Exactly.
So looking at the other game, Indianapolis, the Jets, for me, oh, gosh.
It's hard.
I don't even know, honestly. Probably the Jets, because I think they have just a little bit. I think they've got it together just a little bit more than what Indianapolis has going for them.
Not
honestly,
that they have it together. They're just less broken apart.
That is less broken apart and less people injured, less marquee players not performing well. I think the Jets' offense would do terrible things to the Indianapolis defense.
Yeah.
So then the Jets would have to go play the Patriots.
Jets would play the Bengals. Oh yeah, we're
it
assuming
depends
that,
on.
Yeah.
It depends.
Let's go with your scenario first.
Okay, so Jets would go to the Patriots in my scenario. Broncos would go to the Bengals in the other scenario.
Yep.
Somebody on Periscope, Rosalinda 29420 says Panthers are going all the way. What do you guys think? Well, we're actually in the process of talking about that right now. We just did the NFC, and we have Carolina and Green Bay in the NFC Championship game, where we're going to be getting to them in just a second. So we have them making it all the way through so far. So
stay tuned.
We're coming right back to that, so don't go anywhere with that one. So looking at the AFC here, finishing it up with mine, I think New England wins. They take out the Jets, no big deal.
Yep.
I'd like to say that Cincinnati actually steps up and pulls a surprise, so I'm going to, just for the heck of it. I think Cincinnati, Andy Dalton, finally figure it out.
Yep.
So then it would be New England-Cincinnati in my AFC Championship game. What about you?
With mine, I would have the Jets going to the Bengals.
Yes.
And I have the Bengals handling the Jets, no problem.
No problem at all. No fly zone.
I think the Jets make it through the first round, but that's about it. Then I have Pittsburgh going to New England, and I think a lot of that will come down. I'm going to pick New England, but I think Pittsburgh can give them one heck of a run.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I really, really do.
So,
I'm still going to go with the Patriots and the Bengals.
Okay, Patriots, Bengals. So, in the AFC for both of us.
Yep.
Yeah, we have AFC. It's Patriots, Bengals on the AFC if the playoffs started today. On the NFC, it's Carolina, Green Bay.
Yep.
So looking at both of those squads, Sam, looking at both of those games,
Yep.
Who wins?
The Patriots' pedigree is too good. Cincinnati has yet to prove themselves as a dominant playoff team. They will undoubtedly have to go to New England. I see the Bengals losing before the Patriots do. And again, if the playoffs started today, the road would have to go through New England.
Yes.
I see the Patriots winning that game. I don't want to say handily. I see it being a good defensive matchup. The Patriots' defense isn't great like the Bengals' defense has been great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Patriots, they're built to win titles.
I'd agree with you on that one. New England's definitely just the better team overall. Tom Brady, I feel like it's his year again. I think that they are going to step up, and they are going to do just dominant things to the Bengals to get back to the Super Bowl. And then on the NFC, Green Bay going to Carolina again. For those of you that are Panther fans, we've got a few of you that are watching us on Periscope right now. You've been mentioning, Carolina should host. Carolina's going to do this, do that. What do you think about Carolina? Well, Carolina, Green Bay, honestly, with the way Green Bay's played recently, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Carolina wins this game.
If the playoffs started today, I'd put my money on Carolina.
I would agree. I would absolutely agree.
Because Carolina is playing at home, and they're playing such complete football right now, from the defensive side to the running side to their pass offense. They're all doing just enough to contribute to really to put out a complete performance.
Yep, I'd agree with you on that one. We're going to have a rematch of the Patriots and the Panthers in the Super Bowl. Back when a guy named Jake Delhomme was the quarterback.
Delhomme?
Steve Smith was the running back. Tom Brady was just becoming a thing.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of stuff, though.
Yeah.
And then somebody on Periscope says they have to finish, though. Todd, who on Periscope asked, they have to finish. Yes, Carolina does have to finish. The only thing, as you mentioned, yes, they continue to keep blowing big leads, which is critical. We saw that they almost blew that big lead against Green Bay.
Yeah, the Packers finally started to play football with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter and made it very interesting.
They did. So, real quick before we go to a break, New England or Carolina?
Got to go New England.
Oh, it's going to make our Panther viewers not very happy with
I know.
this.
It's New England against the world right now, and they have shown that they can beat anybody at any time, anywhere. Yes, the Panthers have not lost, but again, New England, they're just built to win titles.
I would have to agree
from top to bottom.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. I got to take New England also. So our picks, if the playoffs started today, Sam and I both have the New England Patriots taking home another trophy. All right, before we go to a break, we'd like to take a minute to thank one of our sponsors of the BG Sports Show. That would be Student Debt Center. You can call them today to have your student loan payment reduced. You can call 855-401-3508.
And again, that number is 855-401-3508, and call that number for much lower payments based on your income and living circumstances rather than a fixed interest rate. Call now before Congress makes cuts to the national budget, which will nullify this free program. Remember that number, 855-401-3508. Back with more on the BG Sports Show right after this.
Welcome back to the BG Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Just a reminder for all of you social media lovers, savants, and just occasional passerbyers that if you love the BG Sports Show, we encourage you to go to Facebook and like our Facebook page, the BG Sports Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BG Sports Show.
You can find news articles, videos, pictures, and more every day. If you want to follow Bax or I, we are on Twitter at Baxter Colbert and at Samuel_Wallace2.
Don't forget it. All right. Well, it is Thursday. My gosh, this week has gone by fast. Tuesday, we didn't have a show, unfortunately. I decided to call in sick. No, I actually was sick. I wasn't just like, didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to face the music with David Kenyon is really what it came to, because I know that he makes a living off of embarrassing us on the air. But no, we still love him, though, and that's why we continue to ask him back on the show. So Thursday means David Kenyon of Bleacher Report is here. So with that being said, good morning, David. How are you, sir?
Cold. It's
You're
windy
cold?
and cold and cloudy and sad.
Sounds like the weather here.
My gosh. You're like 6 hours south of us, too. How are you colder than we are?
I don't know, but the winds are supposed to go up to like 50 miles an hour today.
Oh, my gosh.
There's nothing out there to block the wind.
That's true, yeah. In Indiana, it's just
open.
rolling fields and corn and just there's nothing. That makes sense. Anyway, just stay inside today, Turn on the heat, put on some wool socks, and call it a day.
I can do that.
Absolutely. All right, well, David, we have you here to preview the upcoming games this week in the NFL. So, of the games that are taking place this week in NFL, Week 10 action, what games do fans need to pay special attention to this week?
Well, at this point of the season, you're looking at two different ways to watch games. You look at the best games of the week, and you look at the most impactful playoff games of the week. And there are games that you don't think are necessarily that important, like, for example, the Cleveland Browns and Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, Big Ben's out, and it's kind of a bummer, but the Steelers need this win really bad because their upcoming schedule is going to get tougher. And I know Big Ben said, oh, well, there's a chance I could be back for Sunday. I'm not putting any stake in that.
Not at all.
Not at all.
But then they have a bye, and then they play the Seahawks, Colts, Bengals, Broncos.
Wow.
If that's not a gauntlet, I don't know what is.
No kidding. If they have to go through that without Ben Roethlisberger, I would be very surprised if Pittsburgh is still in the playoff race after those 4 games.
Yeah.
Exactly. But, I mean, I would assume Big Ben's back for Seattle just from the way they talk. Either way, back for the Colts. And so this is a game the Steelers have to have. Another game that it's a little bit underrated, the Bears and the Rams.
Okay.
If the Rams lose, they're done. They are just done. Same kind of thing. This schedule gets really tough. They go to the Ravens. They go to the Bengals. They host the Cardinals after this. If you're 4-4 and you have Seattle tied there too, I mean, they're fighting for the second NFC wildcard spot right now.
That is true.
I mean, you lose this game, you lose 2 more to the Bengals and Cardinals. That's 7 losses, and 7 losses is not going to get it done.
No. Yeah, traditionally, I mean, you look at it too, and it's interesting because St. Louis is as the first team out of the current playoff standings right now. But as we obviously know, the playoffs don't start today. They start in several more weeks. But, yeah, if you mention that, if this is a game St. Louis should win, they're 3-1 at home. The Bears have struggled overall. They're 3-5. Jay Cutler started to kind of come back from the few injuries and just his iffy form from the beginning of the year. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears found a way to steal a victory in this game. But you'd like to think that St. Louis would win this game.
Yeah, and I think they will too. And then the other way you look at the week is just the good games in general. And like you make a list of the top 5, and you probably, if you're looking at playoff only, you wouldn't have the Patriots, Giants, or the Chiefs, Broncos on there.
Mm-hmm.
But those are 2 games that matter because of the history with Patriots and the Giants are fighting for the NFC East, but I mean, it's New England, and they're probably going to win anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kansas City is terrible, in a terrible place in the AFC West, and Denver's so far ahead, so it's not really a critical game. But, I mean, those are basically 2 rivalries, one of them kind of a pseudo-rivalry, but that's the way it goes.
Exactly. Well, we have somebody here on Periscope that's just chatting about the Raiders as a whole. Minnesota and Oakland play each other this week. Minnesota 6-2. The Raiders are 4-4. Is this a game that, if Oakland doesn't win, sets them out of the playoff race?
If they lose, they better hope Pittsburgh loses, because if Pittsburgh wins and they pull another game ahead of Oakland with the tiebreaker, I mean, I don't know how Oakland could recover, because again, upcoming schedules. This is what December looks like for the Raiders. home to the Chiefs, at Broncos, home to the Packers, home to the Chargers, at the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs and Chargers aren't very good, but they're competitive.
Mm-hmm. No,
San
that's
Diego
very
has
true.
lost 6 straight games by 1 possession.
Interesting.
If they finish stronger, the Chiefs could be like 6-2, and we would be like, oh, well, look at how good the Chargers are in close games. They're going to compete.
Yeah, it's true, and they've just been putting up so many points lately that they just seem to make any game interesting regardless of what their record says.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. It's interesting to look at this team as a whole. I think that I'd like to say that Oakland wins this division as a whole, but I honestly don't know. I'm very torn in multiple different routes if Oakland has the tools to see it through all the way, just because of how the team has been as a whole. So. What other games out there? Do people want to keep an eye on the Patriots-Giants game at all, David, or not at all?
Well, I mean, of course, at this point, you're watching for the Patriots because what are they going to do next? It's just an impressive team right now.
True. That is very true.
Otherwise, I mean, the Giants don't have much of a defense. The Patriots will probably win like 30-17. So, I mean, yeah, you watch it for the entertainment value, but you're not watching it for anything specific other than, oh, Tom Brady did it again.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before about like the Super Bowl kind of rivalry. If any team has shown that they can beat the Patriots lately, it's been Tom Coughlin and the Giants. But yeah, I totally agree with what you said about the Patriots just being able to walk away with this game.
Yeah, it's one of those games that you look at from a schedule perspective, and you're like, that's actually maybe a game I'd want to watch. The Giants are playing well at home; they're 3-1 at home. The Patriots are 3-0 on the road, though. This is a game that really has a lot of good implications for playoff seeds because the Giants are sitting in a playoff spot right now. New England's the number 1 seed also, and maybe going forward, this is something that we can figure out, from the Giants' perspective to see just how good this team is going forward. You play a team like New England, it gives the Giants an opportunity to possibly step outside their comfort zone and do really well. So we think we lost David Kenyon, unfortunately, due to a poor connection, but we will just see what ends up, if we can get him back or not. We do want to make mention of that Seattle-Arizona game, though. That is a huge divisional game. That's Sunday Night Football. Cardinals 6-2, Seahawks 4-4. Your thoughts about that game, Sam?
It's tough, because the Seahawks traditionally, like we've said, they start slow during the regular season, and they always find ways to make it interesting and to make good pushes late in the season. I'd like to say the Cardinals can go on the road and win. I think they have all the tools to get it done, but playing in Seattle in the second half of the season is never an easy thing. I'm actually going to go with Seahawks in this game.
Are you really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that Arizona is going to win this game. I think even though both teams are coming off of a bye week, Arizona is hungry to continue to keep pace with Carolina and with Green Bay in the NFC also. Mm-hmm. And I think that if Carolina finds a way to, possibly slip up in the next week or two, Arizona needs to be hot on the hand to step up and make these big plays.
Yep.
Chris Johnson has looked fantastic with his games. He continues to rush for over 100 yards every single game. Carson Palmer's thrown 20 touchdowns this year. There's just a few different things to look at it from a perspective of that Seattle's defense just hasn't been as dominant as we'd like them to have been recently. While you also look at Arizona, well, everybody that needs to be stepping up right now is stepping up. Carson Palmer, the defense as a whole is doing really well. And then the 3 wide receivers for Arizona also, Malcolm Floyd, John Brown, and Larry Fitzgerald. The 3 guys who need to step up are the guys that are doing it. And they also have a reliable running game to step out also. So Arizona wins this game.
Yeah, see, like you said, I think they have all the tools to get it done. But Seattle's just one of those teams. They're just like an enigma where it could be fluky. They could win that game 17-6 just on the back of a pick six, a blocked punt, Marshawn Lynch rushes for a touchdown, and that's the game.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
And it's one of those games like you hope that it doesn't come down to a weird fluky play, but it's very possible that it could happen. Another game that I think has minimal interest to people, but because it's Dallas, I think is the Tampa-Dallas game because Tampa is still trying to kind of be relevant in their division.
They're 2 games out of 500 right now. The Cowboys season is just tanking without Tony Romo. Des Bryant is back, which gives,
Matt Castle, the water boy, whoever.
Yeah. Whoever's throwing the ball, another great weapon. But like you said, Tampa Bay, they show flashes. Having Vincent Jackson not playing is tough, but Jameis Winston is just finding Mike Evans as often as he can. I think he threw like 16 or 17 passes his way in this last game.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to continue to throw him the ball. If the Cowboys can lock down on Mike Evans, I really think the Cowboys can maybe finally win a game.
I'd agree with you on that one. Yeah, I mean, Tampa really only has Mike Evans and Doug Martin to their credit. Jameis Winston has done a good job of turning the ball over consistently. So if I'm Dallas's defense, I'm hoping that this is a game that you can steal a victory in. I mean, they're 2-6, so they're at least 3 games out of first place right now. But still enough time left that if they can start picking up a few wins. Maybe. Any other games jumping out to you at all, Sam?
No, not really. I mean, it'll be nice to see, at least from a Packers fan perspective, how well they can bounce back at home this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see them having any trouble with the Lions. The Packers haven't lost 2 games in a row like that in a while, so they're going to be hungry to come out firing and come out strong. So, otherwise, I don't know. The 2-6 Jaguars and the 2-6 Ravens is kind of catching my eye a little bit as far as no, not really.
Okay, I was like,
no.
okay.
Two teams really combined 4 wins.
Blake Bortles.
Yeah, I have Blake Bortles is playing well. The thing is there's a lot of great fantasy players on those 2 teams. Like Justin Forsett is playing really well. Blake Bortles and his 2 wide receivers are playing well. TJ Yeldon's not playing terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Jaguars.
It is, and that's the thing with Jacksonville, too, is that they need to just shore up their defense more. Because they've got the offense right now, but you need a semi-decent defense to even think about staying in games. So, all right, well, before we jump off to a break, we have a lot of other great things to talk about, including talking about the 9-0 Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry continuing to dominate, and the Milwaukee Bucks continuing to roll on with their season as well. But before we do all of that, we want to take a moment to tell all of you that if you love playing fantasy sports, you can join Sam and I on DraftFury.com this week. That's DraftFury.com. You can sign up today for free. That's right, for free. And have your first deposit matched up to $1,000 when you use the promo code BAX. That's BAX on DraftFury.com.
Yeah, join us as we host an NFL Pick'em game this week. You can find out all the details on our Facebook page at the BG Sports Show or on DraftFury.com.
Welcome back to the BG Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Sam.
Just a reminder for all of you wonderful listeners out there, you can catch the BG Sports Show live from 7 to 8 a.m. Central most days, depending on if I get to the studio on time or not, on Spreaker.com and on Periscope every Monday through Friday.
We are also broadcasted live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time on SportsRadioAmerica.com, live 365, and tune in. Check us out and tell all your friends.
All right. Special thanks to David Kenyon of Bleacher Report for stopping by for all minute and a half that we had him before our connection with him via Skype decided to crash. So sorry about that, David. We know that your insight was very valuable to us, but we can't do anything about it when our equipment decides to not work. So anyway, we're going to look at the basketball world now, Sam.
Yeah, we are.
The NBA rolling on. Almost 10 games for some teams, in the bag for others. They are still on their 8th game, but unless you're the Boston Celtics, you've only played 7 games. Either way, looking at this NBA team, it's NBA season as a whole so far.
Yeah.
You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, top of the East, 7-1 overall, looking like LeBron James and company are doing all that they can do to keep relevant, and they're doing a pretty good job of it so far, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think they're doing a wonderful job. It's one of those things where it's almost expected now that they're at the top of their game, at top of the league every year, playing well, getting the job done.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even you look at this team, they haven't lost a game since October 27th, which for some folks is like, well, that's not,
not that long ago.
But that's the only game that they've lost.
Exactly.
They've only lost opening night.
Yeah.
And they've won every other game. They've only, aside from one against the Knicks, have they scored more than 100 points in. Or in that loss as well to Chicago opening night. But look at the last few games. They went out, they beat the Utah Jazz 118-114. They beat Indiana 101-97. And they beat Philadelphia 108-102. Part of me thinks that, you know what, that's nice that they're winning. But the other part of me is going, well, I don't know much about basketball, Sam, but I know enough to know that you should beat the 76ers by more than 6 points.
Considering the 76ers have yet to win a game this season?
Yeah, that worries me just a little if I'm Cleveland. If I'm a Cleveland fan, which I'm not, because you couldn't pay me enough to be a fan of anything from Cleveland. Well, maybe you could pay me. But anyway, that's irrelevant to the conversation. But
the Indians aren't a bad baseball team.
I've heard.
Yeah.
But still, not buying it.
That's fine.
Anyway, so Cleveland, they still sit in first place in the Eastern Conference. The Atlanta Hawks are 8-2. They sit in second. Toronto Raptors are in third with 5-3 record. The Detroit Pistons in fourth, 5-3. That's a 6. Wow, from my vantage point, that was a 5. I don't know. I was never very good at reading. That's why I got into broadcasting.
That's fair.
It happens. So, I mean, aside from that, though, you round up the top 8 teams that would make the playoffs right now. The Bulls at 5, Heat at 6, Pacers at 7, and the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte
Hornets at number 8. And the Milwaukee Bucks were actually in that 8th spot last night until they dropped a heartbreaker to the Denver Nuggets on the road. That was tough.
It was, yeah. Milwaukee is 4-5 now on the season. You talk about the Milwaukee Bucks as a whole, Sam. They are in 9th place, as you mentioned.
Playing some pretty streaky basketball.
They are, and I think that is maybe due to the issue that Michael Carter-Williams has been day-to-day with his ankle injury.
Yep.
O.J. Mayo's had a right hamstring strain also, so they haven't been able to put the full product out on the court for the season yet this season.
Yeah, last night they played without Jabari Parker and without Michael Carter-Williams at all.
You can't expect to do a lot of good things without neither of those guys on the floor.
Yeah, so it was nice to see them play literally toe-to-toe with the Nuggets the entire game until the end. And, to be able to only drop it by 2 points, it's not a bad game when you're playing without 2 of your starters. Yeah, it's tough. They lost their first 3 games to start the year, then ripped off 4 in a row, and now dropped their second one, or dropped the last couple here now. So
they did, yep. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost to the Celtics back on the 10th, 99-83. But as you mentioned, they went on a 4-game win streak. They took out Brooklyn, the Knicks, the 76ers, and the Nets. Again, 3 teams you expect to beat.
Exactly. So again, they're good wins, but it's one of those things we talk about in a lot of different sports realms. Is they're beating the teams they need to beat.
Exactly.
Right
now. I know, Captain Obvious over here. Tell us, say
That's
what
me.
you will. Woo!
Yeah.
But looking at the upcoming games for Milwaukee, they play Cleveland.
They play host to Cleveland this Saturday night.
That's going to be a big game. Then they play Washington. Then they go to Cleveland, go to Indiana, home against Detroit. This next stretch of 5 games is crucial for Milwaukee to step up.
It's tough. It's going to be one of those things, too, where I think if they can just make it through playing 500 ball, I don't think Jabari Parker is ready yet for a full load. He's up to about 20 minutes a game right now, which is great. And Jason Kidd, I think, is doing a wonderful job in slowly reintegrating him back into the game. Some might say, oh, he's being overly cautious, let him go. But I think the league has seen enough and got sick and tired of watching Derrick Rose get hurt, come back, get hurt, come back, get hurt. That whole sequence of events, he was a fun player to watch. And to watch, again, I don't know if all of it was his fault, was it the organization's fault, but I think Jason Kidd just wants to avoid that with this young star that he has.
Agreed, yeah. When you have a player like Jabari Parker on your roster, you don't want to wear him out too early in his career if he does get an injury.
Exactly.
You even look at some of the other players that have stepped up in the absence of Jabari Parker. Jared Bayless is one of those guys for me that stepped up. I mean, he scored 22 points last night in over 28 minutes.
Leading scorer for the Bucks last night.
He was. Yep. He played really well. We've also talked about Greg Monroe on the show before. He's stepped up and played really well last night. He played 33 minutes and dropped 18 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists.
Yeah, he's racking up double-doubles like it's his job, and it is his job.
I'm pretty sure that is his job, I'm glad he's doing his job.
He's been living up to the hype that was around him when the Bucks signed him out of free agency.
Yes, yep, absolutely. And I think that he was probably thrilled by the fact that he is playing as well as he is, because you go to a new team, you go to a new organization, and you never know what you're going to get from that player.
It's true.
And yet he stepped up very well so far.
It's true.
Looking at another team that has been exceptionally hot, the only undefeated team left in the NBA is the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry doing so many wonderful Steph Curry-like things.
No kidding.
It's kind of ridiculous, honestly, what we see from Steph Curry on a weekly basis.
I mean, he hit a 35-footer at the buzzer last night to end the third quarter.
Yeah, why not?
Just because.
Yeah.
ESPN tweeted it last night, and they're like, we've just run out of things to say.
Well, what else can you really say? I mean,
here's Steph Curry doing Steph Curry things.
Exactly. I mean, he had 28 points last night, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I forget if it was, maybe this was the same shot or not, but there was a play where Steph Curry, I think he got tripped or something, threw the ball up just for the heck of it and still drained it.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like smiled and walked away. I was like,
man.
It's just one of those things, kind of like on Backyard Basketball. He's got the hot hand power up right now, and it just continues to go. No matter where he's on the court, he's just dropping points left and right.
Those were good days.
Hey, man, we could spend a whole segment talking about backyard sports. I'm very in depth.
Life was so much simpler back then.
It really was. It really was.
Anyways, not to get nostalgic about it.
The good old days. Pablo Sanchez. Still not sure how the short little kid could be as good as he was.
It's true. But yeah, Golden State has been looking just phenomenal. And actually, in second place right now in the Western Division is the San Antonio Spurs.
Yes, you were a little interested to chat about the Spurs.
I do. I like the Spurs. I've liked the Spurs for a long time. I had posters of Tim Duncan,
TD,
Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker in my room when I was little. Like,
holy cow!
Like that was the big.
Where did you get those posters?
I don't even remember. My parents got them for me from somewhere.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked the Bucks. Growing up in Wisconsin, but I always just I enjoyed.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching and listening to the Spurs play. It was a lot of fun, and the fact that those. Kind of the original big three, if you will, from this new era that they're still together and they're playing well and they're so well coached. Popovich is just phenomenal, and I really like how he takes into consideration just the age and the longevity of his players. The three of them are not going to go out and play 40 minutes a game every game.
No, they're well past that point in their careers,
and it's okay because Mr. Fundamental, Tim Duncan, is kind of the nickname he's earned over his career. Has just been so solid and so dependable. Very few injuries across his career. He shows up and he steps up when the games count, and he makes players around him better. And they just are so unselfish when they play basketball that it's exciting. They're not a really great team to watch during the regular season.
True.
They're not flashy. They're not sprinting down the court. They're just very kind of game manager-like. They just do enough to get through, get into the playoffs, and then they really start to turn it up.
Absolutely. Well, you talk about Tim Duncan. You talk about fundamentals and building a team and peaking at the right time. That's a good way for us to mention about the Fantasy Basketball League.
Yeah.
The BG Sports Show Fantasy Football, Fantasy Basketball, whatever we do. The name of the league that we've got this year is BGSS YOLO B-Ball because, let's be honest, nobody in our league, aside from one person.
Yeah, how's Mitch doing?
I'm pretty sure Mitch is 0-2. I want to double check. Let's see here.
The irony.
In the standings, looking so far, my team, Fall 3, is undefeated, 2-0.
Really?
And then I feel the need for Sheed is Chris Gibbons, and he is 2-0 also. But yeah, Beal or no Beal, Mitch Baumhoff, 0-2.
0-2.
Starting off the season real strong.
What's going on, Mitch? He's setting us up.
Team Wallace, 0-2.
There we go.
Not doing the greatest this season, unfortunately. But
I haven't checked in a while.
Yeah,
I'll admit.
I know. It happens. Happens to the best of us. Looking still in the East, Kobe or not Kobe. Matt Evans is 1-1, and then can't be worse than football is Corey Plath. He is 1-1 also. Team Wolfrath is 1-1 in the West, and Hoops, I did it again, is Grant, and he is 1-1 also. So
I do love our team names.
We've got some good team names. We actually got creative. I feel like fantasy football, we kind of dropped the ball this year, but fantasy basketball, we've all stepped up so far. I'm playing you right now, Sam.
Are we?
Yes, in our week-long.
How much are you beating me by?
I'm beating you 460 to 264 right now.
All right.
But I've only got two guys that are playing tonight. I've only got DeAndre Jordan and Brandon Knight that are playing tonight.
Oh, I got you now.
You've only got Andrew Wiggins playing tonight.
That's going to change. Hold on.
You've also got Dwayne Wade and Paul Pierce on your bench that could play. So
We'll see.
You can get in a few different guys. No, for those of you that don't know how fantasy basketball works, you play the same player for a week, and you accumulate points from how your players do over a week's time.
Yep.
And then that is your final score.
Yeah, it's
so
like a week-long matchup.
It is a week-long matchup. So like last week, I won my game by a score of 949 to 813.
Ooh, close game.
It was. Actually, can't be worse than football. Made a bit of a push towards the end, but I had some really good stepping up playing from LeBron James. Victor Oladipo also stepped up and played really well.
You can say his name now.
I know. It wasn't as big as some of these other games, though. I feel the need for Sheed. They went 1,214 to Beal or No Beal's 1,061. So
wow,
there's been some high-flying games so far, but it's been really interesting to.
Can you imagine fantasy football scores that high?
Woo, baby! I mean, if I wanted to mess with the
we did for
the
1
settings,
year.
I did it. We did that last year, and people were flipping out.
That was a bad idea.
Some people liked it.
I mean, I won a game like 184 to 165.
You still won.
It was a lot of fun, but I was like, Gronkowski had like 48 points.
Well, we're seeing that even in standard PPR or standard leagues this year too. People are still scoring 40-some points.
I know.
I forget who it was, Antonio Brown, or who was it this last week that
Antonio
had like
Brown.
40-some points?
It's probably Antonio Brown. He had like 300 yards from scrimmage. He did.
It's true. No, he absolutely did. It was ridiculous.
284 yards passing and then like a 22-yard rush.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, Sam.
All right.
I don't know. All right, well, we are going to jump to a break. But before we do, we want to first mention one of our sponsors of the BG Sports Show. We'd like to take a minute to thank Student Debt Center. You can call them today to have your student loan payment reduced by dialing 855-401-3508.
Yeah, that number again is 855-401-3508. Back with more after the break.
Welcome back to the BG Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm back.
And this is Sam.
All right, Sam. For those of you out there, though, that love social media, like Totes Adorbs loves.
Totes
like
Magoats.
Totes Macoats.
Yeah.
If you love social media and you love the BG Sports Show, you can get us on Facebook by liking the BG Sports Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BG Sports Show as well.
Yeah, and if you want to follow Baxter I on Twitter, he is at Baxter Colburn, and I am at Samuel_Wallace2.
Okie dokie. Well, looking at fantasy football, Sam. Bum, bum, bum.
Go from our fantasy basketball league to our fantasy football league.
That is true. It's a smooth transition that only we could pull off.
It's true.
It is. I
if
know.
only they knew.
Yeah, right. If
only.
only they knew. All right, so I'm a little terrified this week, Sam. I play the Encyclopedia of Football, David Kenyon.
Yeah, let's start with your game.
I mean, do we need to talk about it?
Yeah,
no,
we do.
I'm actually favored to win right now, 97-88. But remember, projections mean nothing.
Yeah, they do. They mean absolutely nothing.
It's kind of like war. It's good for nothing. Absolutely nothing. So looking at this, game, it's Blake Bortles against Tom Brady.
I think that's a no-brainer.
You'd like to think so.
Sorry,
you'd like to think so, but Jacksonville plays Baltimore this week. I like those. I like my chances.
And the Patriots play the Giants. The Giants who let Drew Brees throw for 500 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Just
Details.
Details.
Just saying.
Yeah, but this is a 5-4 Giants team, though. They're clearly a better team.
All right.
That's what I'm going to keep telling myself anyway.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
James Starks versus Adrian Peterson. I definitely think Adrian Peterson helps me win that matchup.
I think so.
Doug Martin versus Theo Riddick. I don't even know if Detroit knows that Theo's going to play or not, honestly.
Yeah, that's a tough one for David, having, he's got Woodhead on bye this week. So, yeah.
That definitely might cause some issues for him. So I think Doug Martin helps me in that category. Mike Evans versus A.J. Green.
Yeah, who knows? That one's going to be good.
Yeah, A.J. Green has done enough, but not enough to the same accord. He's done a good job of staying relevant, so that's a good sign. But I just don't know what is going to happen with A.J. Green this week. Allen Robinson versus Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry's had a few good games, but Allen Robinson also has helped Jacksonville stay relevant at the same time.
Allen Robinson has been awesome this year.
He really has. Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns.
All Allen Hurns does is catch touchdowns.
And that's fine with me because he's on my fantasy team. He's my flex guy this week.
Hurns has scored a touchdown in like 6 straight games.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a very, very wonderful thing. 6
straight games. And actually, the unique thing about that is that in those 6 games, 3 of those 6 games, he only had 2 catches. So the volume's not there, but he scores touchdowns.
And I'm glad that I claimed him when I did. I was like, I need a receiver. Allen Hurns, Jacksonville. I mean, sure, why not?
Someone's got to score.
Exactly. That's my thought, too. Like, you look at teams like Jacksonville, it's like Blake Bortles is going to throw touchdowns. Not maybe a ton, but he's got to throw it to somebody.
He's got to throw it to somebody.
So he's been throwing it to Hurns. My only concern about that, though, is that David does have Allen Robinson on his team starting this week. So as long as Blake Bortles has a good week, as long as he throws the ball to Hurns, we'll be fine. Otherwise, we might have some issues if he throws the ball more to Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, tight ends this week, Greg Olsen and Richard Rodgers. I sat Richard Rodgers last week when he had 2 touchdowns, so that hurt me in my game.
Sure did. You lost last week.
I did lose.
You?
Yep, I'm 5-4 now, unfortunately. Still atop the East, though, because the East is just that bad, apparently, in our fantasy.
East is such a bad division.
So terrible.
Sorry.
No, it's true. I completely
agree.
Your
division is garbage.
I think everybody in the East should trade all their players to me, and then I will just represent the East.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It'll be just fine.
I mean, that's pretty much what's going on right now. Anyway.
It's what it needs to be, yeah. Chiefs defense against the Broncos, they both play each other, so that'll be an interesting game to see what happens, but I like the Broncos taking out the Chiefs' minimal offense.
Those are always fun matchups, I feel.
Yep. And then Nugent versus McManus, the 2 kickers for Cincinnati and Denver. I think Denver's kicker is going to have a better day overall, personally.
I don't know. Mike Nugent, though.
Playing Houston on Monday Night Football, there's a possibility for that to be good. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm feeling fairly decent. Nobody on my bench really needs to feel like playing. Alex Smith doesn't need to play. The Vikings defense against Oakland, not happening. And Heath Miller, no, not happening against Cleveland either. Tony Romo still on injured reserve. Carlos Hyde's on a bye. Pierre Thomas has been cut again. And Stevie Johnson is on a bye this week also. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Feeling good, feeling fly, but it's David Kenyon, so I'm terrified. What about you, Sam?
Flipping over to my game, I am playing Run from the One, Chris Blakely, who's sitting at 5-4, tied for first in the East.
Yes.
I'm sitting at 8-1. alone in first place in the Western Division. But this week I'm actually currently projected to lose by 3 points. Again, they're projections, but I have Devontae Freeman on bye this week, and that's been tough. I traded away my other comparable second running back in kind of a wonky trade that ended up with me having Rob Gronkowski on my team. So I traded some depth.
That was really weird.
I traded some depth for some firepower was kind of what I've been telling myself. I'm pretty thin now at every position, but I got guys that can go off at every position. Looking at the quarterback matchup, I have Eli Manning going up against the Patriots, and he has Derek Carr going up against the Vikings. Projected right now, Derek Carr is 17 points, Eli Manning 16 points. As ESPN, I think so aptly put it, Eli Manning every week is the ultimate wild card. But he's capable of throwing 400 yards and 4 touchdowns or 200 yards and 2 interceptions every week.
I never know what exactly to make of him, honestly.
Yeah, neither do I. But that's why I like it. It keeps it interesting.
But that's why they play the game.
That's why they play the game. You're right. Stealing my line.
You didn't say it yet, so I felt like I had to say it.
I know.
You've got a allotted amount of time that if you don't talk about it, someone's got to make mention of it.
It's true. Looking at my running backs, Lamar Miller I have as my running back 1 this week as Devontae Freeman is out. Then I have Ryan Matthews, kind of the backup, if you will, kind of the 1A to LaShawn McCoy.
Yes.
So we'll see. And by LaShawn McCoy, I mean DeMarco Murray. My bad.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Virtually.
Yeah. Virtually the same player. No.
Both pretty useless this year in fantasy.
The thing that's scaring me this week about my matchup is, on the flip side, he has D'Angelo Williams, who is just chewing up yards from scrimmage. He also has Antonio Brown. So he's got the 2 big offensive catalysts on the Pittsburgh Steelers. No Ben Roethlisberger, which will help, I feel, limit Antonio Brown's ceiling this week, but D'Angelo Williams is going to command a lot of yardage.
I would agree with you on that one. Yeah, this is going to be a game that really could go either way. I feel like for you too. It's a pretty close matchup.
Yeah.
He said, Derek Carr is his starting quarterback, as you mentioned. That could be a big thing for him, depending on what Viking secondary shows up for him.
Yeah, we'll see. I do like my wide receivers right now. I think my wide receivers are just playing lights-out football, and they have a chance to get better. Demaryius Thomas is really going to step up against Kansas City. He lit them up earlier in the year, and Alshon Jeffrey has been playing out of his mind right now. I know they're playing a good Rams defense, but Alshon is getting too many targets, and he's too talented to not find a way into the end zone.
I'd agree. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. Looking at the current playoff bracket in the BG Sports Show Fantasy Football League, Sam is the number 1 seed. He would take on Grant, the 1 versus 8 seeds. I'm the number 2 seed. I would take on Zach, the 2 versus 7. Fort Wayne Vandals, David Kenyon would take on Connor Christensen in the 3 and 6 seed game. And the Palatine Monsters, Danny would take on Run from the 1, Chris Blakely in the 4 and 5 game lead.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been an interesting season so far. We're thrilled by how it's gone, and I'm excited to see what the remainder of the season has to hold for us. So, all right, well, we're going to jump to a break. When we come back, Connor Christensen will be here to wrap up the show with his new Fight Corner and hopefully lots of talk about Ronda Rousey. We'll be right back with more on the BG Sports Show. Welcome back to the BG Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I am Bax. Sam is still kind of here, but we only have 2 headsets in the studio, so he's just hanging around because it's time to bring in Connor Christensen on our Thursday edition of the BG Sports Show. So good morning, Connor. How are you?
Oh, today's going to be a good day, Bax.
Is it?
It is.
But it's rainy and droopy and sad
See, those
outside.
are the best days for me.
Why is that?
I love the rain.
Oh, that's good. Maybe you should move to Seattle then.
I actually have thought about it.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Quite. All right, then. Now that we've got that established, what's going on? It's your Fight Corner on Thursdays, Connor. What do you got for us?
Oh, my goodness. Well, the fans ask for it, and you pay me to talk about her, so let's talk about Ronda Rousey.
Do you pay him, Sam? I don't pay him.
You told me it was on back order. It was coming in the
Oh,
mail?
right. Yeah, back order.
It's still happening, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're moving on. I want to talk about, for the past 2 weeks, I've been talking UFC 193.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's on Saturday. It's kind of a big deal.
Kind of. I feel like that's sort of
Ronda's
thing.
taking the octagon again.
Bum, bum, bum.
So I thought I would go and I would look at Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey's fight history. See how they've got, to where they are.
Sure. Why they are who they are today.
Yeah, sure. And so we're gonna look at Holly Holm first. We're gonna see exactly what she's done. She has won most of her fights by either KO or TKO. And for those who don't know, that's knockout and total knockout. So basically, if you can drop them in one punch, that's a knockout. If you beat them into submission to the point where the referee has to come in,
what if you got one weapon
and separate
weapon per UFC fight? Everybody,
but you're giving a professional fighter a weapon?
Yeah.
Well, first of
Not
all,
like
they
a
would
gun
probably
or a
they would
sword
probably
or a
all,
knife.
they
Like
would-
a chair. Give him a chair or a table.
You realize those don't actually hurt very much, right?
Irrelevant.
I've actually been hit in the back with a steel chair. Some stupid friends and I did some stuff in high school, fake wrestling and such, and we, fake wrestling because it was fun to do, and
Jumping off of picnic tables on top of each other.
something like that.
Bunch
But
of
a
yahoos.
friend actually full on hit me in the back with a steel chair. Like one of those folding chairs that we'd use for like church potlucks and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. And it didn't hurt. It did not hurt at all. The chair bent and it looked nasty. And I faked it really well, like any pro wrestler would. And but it actually didn't. It actually didn't hurt very much.
You need like the breakaway chairs where as soon as it makes contact, it just like
Yeah.
explodes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those tables are
You're like,
are just
"Whoa!"
not built sturdy at all. They're all the reject tables go to the WWE.
True.
Yeah, so people can fall through them and such. Although
Okay.
sometimes you're watching people fall from like 30 feet.
That's a big
into
deal.
It. That's a big deal. All right. Anyway, back to UFC, and no, we're not giving UFC fighters a weapon because first of all,
Jump rope.
they would all know how to disarm it. I'm sure. And second of all,
Let's have a double
there's-
dutch off.
Can you imagine two heavyweights in the octagon doing double dutch?
That'd be fantastic.
That
I'd pay
would-
money to see that.
I'm sure you would.
I would.
I think UFC fans would not.
I'd pay per view for that.
Anyway, moving on. There's a trend here I wanna highlight.
Yes.
Looking at Holly Holm
What's the
versus
trend?
Ronda Rousey. So Holly Holm has won 2 of her fights of 9. 2 of her fights have gone to decision, meaning they went the full length of the fight.
Okay.
And then the judges' scorecards dictates who won. So one of her fights, it was unanimous. All the judges agreed that she won. The other one was a split decision, meaning that the majority of the
Flipped a
judges.
coin?
Yeah, pretty much. Everything else has been either a knockout or a total knockout. Ooh. And she has never had a fight end in the first round
Really?
in her career in the UFC.
Wow, she's in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, that's part of the trend. So we look at 2 of the fights went, the entire fight. Another one went to round 5. That was her title fight. Then she had one go into the 3rd minute of round 3. Round 2, there's this trend of round 2, round 2, round 3,
Sure.
round 2, round 5, And now we're going to go over and we're going to look at Ronda Rousey. And
What a gal.
Yeah, what a gal. She wins fights.
Sweet lady.
Yes, that is.
Means well.
She does.
She'll go places.
So, round 1, after 34 seconds, was her last fight. Round
Kind of
1.
let herself go on that one.
Round 1, 14 seconds. Round 1, 16 seconds. Round 1. Wow, this one went a minute. My goodness. Here we go. Miesha Tate has been a very, very good opponent. She took it to round 3.
Really?
Yeah, one of the only times Ronda Rousey has gone out of round 1. Then we have round 1, the end of round 1, after almost 5 minutes. Actually, that would have been almost the end of the round itself because a title defense is 5-minute rounds. And she submitted her opponent at 4:49 in round 1. And then round 1, 54 seconds. Miesha Tate again, round 1 after 4.5 minutes. And then round 1, 39 seconds. Round 1, 25 seconds. Round 1, 49 seconds. And round 1, 25 seconds. So
I sense a trend.
Yeah, the other trend for Ronda Rousey is that she has won, let me quick count up here, 3 fights via KO or TKO. And everything else has been an armbar submission.
Oh, God.
So she's very, very predictable.
Okay.
Meaning she's gonna charge you. She's gonna hit you a couple times. Then she's gonna flip you over her back and armbar you to the point where you feel like your shoulder's about to rip off. And then you will submit because she's Ronda Rousey and you submit and you don't have a choice in the matter.
Not worthy.
Her other 3 fights have gone by KO. Her combined time for her 3 KOs is less than 2 minutes. It takes her to KO 3 people.
Okay.
So the trend here is that Ronda Rousey loves to finish it in the first round.
Obviously.
So she is going to and
she's going to come out swinging.
Oh, yeah. And Holly Holm is, she's a very talented boxer and kickboxer. But she is going to drag the fight out. That's what she does. She stands her ground. She throws jabs. Whatever, what have you. Trying to drag that fight out to get as many points as she can, be a very technical fighter. And Ronda Rousey just wants to go in and destroy you. So my last thoughts about how Holly Holm can even hope to beat Rousey is to come out and do the exact opposite.
Okay.
She can't go out and try to drag the fight out. She cannot do that because if she does that against Ronda, she will lose. She's not going to be able to do anything because Ronda's going to come out, she's going to flip her, she's going to armbar, she's going to KO, whatever. She's going to win that fight.
So is there any way that Holly Holm can actually win this game?
Yes.
Or this match, this duel, this dance-off?
Yes, there is hope for Holly Holm.
That's good.
She needs to
Maybe?
She needs to come out and she needs to try to land a knockout basically right away.
Okay.
And she needs to be aggressive the entire time. She cannot let Ronda get any sort of momentum because if Ronda even gets a whiff of the upper hand, the fight is done because Ronda is too good. She's too good right now. And there is a chance for Ms. Holm, but
so formal. Ms.
formal.
Holm.
Yeah.
Holly. Double H.
There is hope for her, but Ronda's just too good to bet against right now. I don't think anyone's going to bet against her.
So if you were a betting man, you'd take Ronda?
Oh, yes.
Do you have any money on this fight?
I don't have any money.
Any
So
Subway subs? Drinks with the guys?
I mean, maybe go out for a drink or two
There you
afterwards.
go.
But
Celebrate the victory of your spoils.
yeah, exactly. I think Ronda's going to take it in under 50 seconds.
You heard it here first, folks. Connor Christensen thinks Ronda Rousey in 50 or under.
Yes.
Bring it on. Ready for it. All right, Connor, thank you so much for stopping by, sir. We'll see you again next weekend. Good luck to your Vikings and your fantasy team this week.
Hey, thanks. I had fun beating you this week.
You know what? Yeah, well, it happens. I'm still in first place in the East. Woo! The East is awful. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another edition of the BG Sports Show. Thanks to Bleacher Report's David Kenyon for his brief cameo on the show today. My co-host has been Sam Wallace. I am Baxter Colburn. We will see all of you again tomorrow for a Friday edition of the BG Sports Show. Enjoy your Thursday, and if you're bored, you could check out that Thursday night game also if you lost a bet or something, or if you're just in New York, one of the two. All right, have a good one, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow.